truly inspirational, ma'am. It was really inspirational. And now I would like to invite Mr. Carl Gershman, President, National Endowment for Democracy, longtime activist and supporter of human rights and democracy worldwide. Welcome, sir.
Thank you. And welcome to all of you this morning. I want to pay a special welcome to Ambassador Chung Kwang Tien from Taiwan, and a very special welcome we have with us this morning three of George Fernandes's four brothers, Paul, Michael, and Louis. Please stand up. This conference was originally planned with our friend George Matthew on the theme of the legacy of George Fernandes, which is a legacy of impassioned struggle for political freedom and social and economic justice. George, as you've heard, was a trade unionist, a brilliant orator, an impassioned and committed socialist leader who, when the emergency was declared in 1975, he went underground to lead the struggle for the restoration of democracy, and then he was arrested on June 10th, 1976. When, after the emergency, and George emerged and became Minister of Communications and later Minister of Industry, he said something that I think defined his philosophy. Those of us, he said, who had the honor and the privilege of fighting for what we believed was right and against what we knew was wrong, hold the view that what we went through was a struggle between truth and falsehood, between justice and injustice, between democracy and dictatorship. As we planned this meeting, the idea of the conference evolved from a tribute to George into a discussion of ways to strengthen democracy throughout Asia. And this is consistent with George's record as a great democratic internationalist. He benefited from the solidarity of others. And when he was arrested, immediately after he was arrested, three great socialist leaders, Willy Brandt, Olof Palme, and Bruno Kreisky, issued a statement which George felt saved his life. And so George was somebody who not only benefited from international solidarity, but he never hesitated to give international solidarity to others. His home, when he was defense minister between 1998 and 2004, and beyond that, but his home, even at that time, was the headquarters of a Burmese student exile movement that was fighting for democracy. As defense minister, his home was the headquarters for the Burmese exile student movement. And he was India's best friend of the Dalai Lama and its strongest advocate for the human, religious, and national rights of the Tibetan people. I'll never forget when we organized the founding assembly of the World Movement for Democracy here in India, and the Indian government wavered on whether or not to give its consent to His Holiness speaking at the opening of the World Movement for Democracy. George was very, very angry, and he fought within his government to get them to change their position on whether or not the Dalai Lama could speak at the World Movement. And then he came himself and delivered an impassioned speech, I remember that, where he not only talked about Asia, he talked about the Slansky trials in Czechoslovakia in 1952. He was really a great internationalist. And there is no one, I think, in the world who more appreciates George Fernandes and his struggle than His Holiness the Dalai Lama. When we were standing outside before and His Holiness met George's three brothers, he said, well, you're, his real brothers, his physical brothers, but I am his spiritual brother. So it's really an extraordinary pleasure and a privilege for me now to introduce this great voice for world harmony and human freedom, His Holiness the Dalai Lama.
Respected elder brothers and rest of brothers and sisters. The brothers and sisters who gathered here, I think some special brothers and sisters. You committed not only your own sort of well-being, but you see, taking care of millions of other people. So I really appreciate your feeling, and then also more important, you committed these sort of ideas. But it is quite easy, you say very nice thing, but doing nothing. That quite often you see happen. But I think you see people here, I think you really committed yourself. Then on special also the occasion, George Fernandes, long time my friend. I'm one of admirer of him. I remember during his he as a defense minister, one occasion, he invited his own residents. I think you were there. So we had lunch. Then after lunch, I enter his toilet. So some clothes or some sheets, to wash. You see, just piling there. Then I felt, as a socialist, I think it seems he managed his own home, by himself. So I don't know. I think you know better. So anyway, as a such person, again, as I mentioned earlier, he actually dedicate what he believed, no matter how difficult it is. So I really admire. And then beside that, he also very, very sort of sympathetic, or not only sympathetic, but he often, mentioned about our difficulties, like that. So I feel till my death, his face always very close in my heart. As a Buddhist, our unique sort of, very special sort of friendship, may carry even next life. When my next life, in deep, and the deep sort of my mind, maybe I'll remember him. So then during emergency, some problem. And also Jayaprakash Narayan, his physical, I think, much worsened. Physical condition much worsened. That period, soon after, so they changed the situation. I called him at Patna, his own home. Then his physical, very bad. I think that's last meeting. Again, one great sort of leader of this country. Soon after 59, I came, he organized Afro-Asian Conference. This is regarding, you see, our problem. So then about democracy. I think firstly, I mentioned when I meet some of the Indian friends, many occasions, I mentioned, although India already got independence, but still India need the certain sort of, how to say, determination and self-confidence and fearlessness. You see, that still need in this country. So he, one of them, really wonderful. You see, sometimes, as I mentioned earlier, you see, sometimes the people get some high position. Then they are a little bit changed. That also I noticed, you see, some my friend, you see, during their Kasoda, with position, something, a very dignified person, after retired, doesn't feel like that. But same human being. So you see, sometimes you see power and sort of the position easily spoiled. He is not like that, I feel. So then I think democracy, I really believe. Even animal that loves freedom. Sometimes I have small dogs and also one cat. So when door open, they happily run. So they also loves freedom, isn't it? Even though in the room we're feeding quite well, but still they do not satisfy. As soon as the opportunity comes, they run and play. And some dogs, you see, in the grass, you see, things like that. So that shows even animal appreciate freedom. So then we are human beings. Besides sensorial, or say, experiences, our experience in mental level is much, much stronger than animal. Animal, you see, I think mainly use sensorial, or say, because of the experience for their survival. But we human beings, the mental thing become much more sort of